All right, everyone, welcome back to the Films Podcast, where I get the opportunity to speak with some amazing individuals and get their testimony on what brought them to the film industry and how the wisdom that they've learned can be applied to your life. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest. He is an amazing man, follower of Christ, and I'm just so excited to speak with him today. Dragon, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up, man? It's a
Bro,
pleasure.
man, it's been a long time coming for this conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, I think the most important part is just getting, getting yourself surrounded with other individuals that are wanting to do great things. So, yeah, man, let's go ahead and get started. Um, Now, what really brought you to wanting to do photography?
So, honestly, when I was doing photography for a nonprofit organization called Jackson Park Ministries, I was working as a camp counselor and after school tutor, and the pastor of the ministry wanted me to take some photos of the kids while they was engaging in the activities and kind of doing the things that they had to offer for the program. So he gave me a Nikon. I think it was a D7500, and I started snapping photos. At the time, I was playing basketball, so I had really no interest in photography like that. Um, but it begun to be something I enjoyed. And as I was taking the photos of the kids and showing them the photos and looking at them myself, I'm like, this is kind of cool. But I end up putting it down and going on with my journey at the time with basketball and trying to pursue that. um God had me take a detour with that. And around 2020 is where I went to a pawn shop, found a camera again, and picked it up and began to go around the city, take some black and white photos, and kind of just mess around with it. And at the time, I was searching for like a different medium where I can express my creativity. And I began to really enjoy the peace that it brought me. And also, like, I felt Jesus was leading me to it as far as like what I can do with it. But at the time, I didn't know that it was like going to become something like a visual ministry in a way. So just being passionate about it and being passionate about like stuff that I'm interested in normally like has me like I get very like into it. So just kind of go
Yeah,
from
no,
there.
yeah, I mean, just like the amount of decision making that it takes in order to get into creative space, bro, is noteworthy. It's not easy to get into this space. It's not easy to get out into the creative space because, the 9 to 5 world will tell you, oh, you need to go get a job because, that's the way the world works. But we can kind of see it that we're kind of separating ourselves from the industrial revolution where we are no longer having to lean on humans to build things, right? And so it's turning into more of like a creative space where people can just freely like express themselves. And so I know that it's turning for the positive. There's definitely just some kinks that we got to work out. There's some mindsets that we need to break, and some generational curses, right? I mean,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
our parents and even our grandparents will say like, "Oh, you need to go get a job, and work that for 40, 50 years, and then retire with barely anything."
hmm
And then so that's really cool. And and as you were saying that you weren't even like, you didn't even think that this was going to be something that you were passionate about. You just were like, you were handed a camera and then it just
Yeah.
kind of led into it. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
You find yourself in those situations where it's a God moment,
hmm
right? It's like, oh, you wanted me to pick up that camera. And even though I didn't know it, that you knew that this was something that was deep within inside me that you've already planted in my DNA.
hmm
So that's really cool. Now, if you had to say kind of like if someone's wanting to pursue photography or videography, kind of like what would be the first step to take in order to pursue that?
I would say with anything that someone plans on being good at or, you know, doing as a profession, you want to be skillful and you want to be knowledgeable. So you don't want to like just rely solely on creativity because um, creativity is one thing, but if you can't have the right, principles and the right fundamentals to bring the vision to life, then the creativity won't really matter because you'll have to end up relying on someone else to try to bring your vision into fruition. So I would say like definitely spend the time under people that know, what they're doing, watching as many videos as you can. I watched a lot of YouTube stuff, watched a lot of photographers work in the field, and then going out and actually like photographing things. It doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be something interesting, but just getting a feel of like sharpening your eye because that's what it's really about. It's like everybody has a different way of looking at a subject or looking at photography. I know for me, it's a I took a photography test on online and it said I'm a chameleon, so I kind of blend into my environment. So when I'm out, I kind of just like I don't know, people don't know I'm there, like so I'm able to capture things that some people wouldn't be able to see because of like just my personality. So it's really based off personality and then with the work you put into it.
Hmm. Now I want to dive into this personality thing because I think personality is such a big part of, what makes a good creative,
Mhm.
what makes someone special, and everyone has a different upbringing and why their experiences have led them into wanting to pursue an art form.
Mhm.
And so what would you say when someone has more of like an introverted personality, but they still want to pursue photography? Do they just have to capture like nature footage, or or should they go out and capture people too to just kind of get their feet wet with that as well?
Mhm. I would say with photography, it's like it's a world. It's so many different places you can go in it. There's so many different like levels to it and so many different ways of like pushing the word photography because the definition of it is kind of like what you defined it as. So I would say for a person that's introverted, like it's really what you want to do with it, like what you want to be like your canvas. So for me, like I love community. I grew up around community. I grew up around like community events, and that's a big place where my heart is at. So anytime I'm able to be in that environment, like I feel like spiritually, it's where I'm connected. So it really has to do with like what you feel like like as an introvert like you may feel more connected to people who are like more shy or more hidden, so you may want to photograph people who feel just like you. It's kind of like based off like where your heart is and where your spirit kind of is led.
Wow, that's really good. That just kind of blew my mind that, capturing people that are just like you, right? And
Hmm.
that you gravitate towards those people because they understand you.
Hmm.
And so that's really cool. Now, so say, because for me, like, you know, photography is not my profession, but I still want to be able to capture photography because I think it's as an opportunity for me to get better at filmmaking.
Oh yeah.
And how does photography play a role? Like, say if someone's wanting to become a filmmaker, how do you think photography plays a role in wanting to make films?
It's amazing. If you want to understand light, contrast, if you want to understand exposure, or basically how to set a shot, you know, a lot of like the beginning of filmmaking is kind of with photography because it's all about like how you're gonna set the scene for that particular shot, just in filmmaking is it's a motion picture, but in photography, it's a still shot. So it's kind of like hand in hand. Once you understand like the principles of photography and how to compose a shot, how to get the best lighting or whatever, like you already have way to where you would be with filmmaking. It's just like it's a couple more things, of course, that's going to be added into it, sound, um, different things, effects and stuff like that. But with photography, you're kind of already like on the brink of filmmaking, but it depends on your eye and how you like your mind for it. Because some people they just want to do photography. They have a mind for that. They don't want to do anything with video. And then some people don't want to do anything with photography. They just want to do something with, video. But there's some people that lie in between. And I feel like those are the people that kind of understand that it collides. It
Mm,
comes together.
mm. All right, y'all heard it here first. Photography is the foundation of filmmaking. So if you want to become a better filmmaker, make sure that you get good at photography, or even just learn the fundamentals. Learn about the ISO, learn about the shutter speed,
Mhm.
learn about the aperture, so that way you can transform that the way your films look from average to great. So spend some time
Yeah.
doing some photography. So that's really good. Man, this has already been a great podcast. I mean, we could cut it here and that would be so much gold, right? And so
Yeah.
it's about how people apply it, right? They say that knowledge is power, but knowledge plus power, or no, knowledge plus action equals power. So without action, you cannot move forward. I mean, it's hard to move forward without creating action. So if you were trying to create an action plan, I guess to start like photography, what would it be? Save up for a camera. Do you need specific gear? Like, what would be the fundamentals?
Um, I would say you probably want to start with your why. You want to start with
Mm,
like why
yeah,
you're
yeah.
going to want to do it. Because some people are doing it because it's cool, and it's not wrong with that. But if you want to do it long term, um, it's sometimes it's not going to be cool because people are not going to understand your vision. So if you are solely based off like aesthetic, then you may like find yourself just doing it as a hobby. But if you really want to do it, you really want to understand the art form, you really want to make an impact, you want to understand like your why, and then you want to figure out like what you really like. Like some people they want to shoot film, so they get film cameras. They take the time to compose their shots, get the film that they want, get it developed, and then you got some people they want to shoot digital. Some people want to do a little bit of both. Some people want to do kind of like commercial stuff, like for businesses, and then some people just want to like not even be known. They just want to photograph and develop a portfolio. So once you figure out like your journey with it, and I would say like if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's going to be rough. It's going to be hard at the beginning because you're going to feel like you're competing with people that are better than you. You're really not. Everybody has a different cup of tea. Everybody likes different stuff. So once you figure out that it's not a competition, it's a slow race, and that you just got to take your time and develop it yourself, and develop like your reasoning behind it, like, and
Mm,
then get your equipment. Like, equipment is not everything. Like, I shot on almost every Canon camera from like the oldest ones to the newer ones, and then I found my love with Fuji. I really love Fujifilm. I feel like that's kind of like my spiritually connected camera.
yeah,
Like I just resonate with it. Like it's just something about it, the ergonomics, how it functions. It fits me. So you got to find the camera that fits you.
that if you want a specific camera, but it just doesn't fit your why, then you're just kind of wasting money. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
so yeah, and I really enjoy that you started off with why, like the deeper than just buying something is
hmm
because I've always thought that if you buy the best gear, if you buy the best stuff, that you're automatically gonna be better, and that's
Uh,
just not true at all. I think as we progress into our field, the more that we realize that it's an opportunity for us to um, see that it's bigger and deeper than what we buy.
Mhm.
Because if we want it to sustain us, we have to, and I refer to the book um, Start With Why. It's by Simon Sinek,
Right.
and he talks about the golden circle. And the golden circle is all about starting in the middle with your why.
Mhm.
And then I believe that it starts with your how you do it is the second circle, and then the third circle is what you do.
Mhm.
So figure out your why, then figure out how you're going to do it, and then figure out, what it is that you want to pursue. Because at the end of the day, we all want we all want to be fulfilled. We want to have fulfillment in our career. If anybody in this world is telling me that you do not want to be fulfilled by your career, you're lying
Right.
to me. So,
Right.
yeah, no, we just we want you to succeed. We want to see you grow, and the only way that you're gonna grow is figure out why you're gonna do it. And
Mhm.
so, if I could encourage you, if Dragon could encourage you in any way, is to just figure out, dive deep into within yourself, and figure out why you want to do what you want to do. I don't care if it's being a designer. I don't care if it's flipping burgers at McDonald's. Like if you love to
Yeah.
cook and you want to start somewhere, bro,
Hey.
like start McDonald's, bro. I started at McDonald's. I started at like a mom and pop shop back when I was like 15, and I enjoy cooking. So I just
Right.
figured might as well start at the bottom, figure out what these cooks know in
Mhm.
order to progress into the next realm. And then I eventually got up to working at the Cheesecake Factory. So it's just like,
Wow.
it's just those elements that you have to start at the bottom,
Mhm.
and you can't skip the steps of success. Uh, so let's switch gears. Now, if someone's trying to like learn about photography, what are kind of like what are the best places to find that information?
Um, I say YouTube, of course.
YouTube.
Like in this generation, like we have so much access to
Yeah.
knowledge and articles. I mean, it's not just YouTube. You can go online. Like I've read articles, I read books. One of my favorite photographers is Gordon Parks. So I watched his documentary on Netflix. It was so inspiring. Sometimes it's not something that's like information based. Sometimes it's just inspiration that you get, that you just learn how to just dig within, because that's really what it's going to come from. Because if I sit my camera in front of the subject, it's not going to take a picture. Me myself, I am the I'm going to make the camera do what it
The
do. So
vessel,
it's
yeah.
like if you got to find like the inspiration within yourself, get the knowledge, and then all that flows into the camera. Like a lot of
Mm,
people think like, oh, it's like the camera's gonna like. It's like no, like I can pick up somebody else's camera and I can shoot the way that I shoot, and then they can pick it back up and shoot the way that they shoot. It doesn't matter like the camera, the brand, how good it is. Like you gotta get it in here. So I would say go YouTube, go to a photographer that's well known, and just talk to him. But eventually, it's gonna come down to like how much you understand for yourself. Because I would say I was very unorthodox when I started. I was doing things quote unquote wrong, but it developed something that I began to turn into my style. So sometimes doing it wrong is doing it right in a sense, because it's like you're developing something that's unique.
yeah, I can definitely attest to that because I've never been the person that fit into the status quo.
Mhm.
That it's when you're trying to pursue something great, not everybody's gonna understand that, and not everybody's gonna get it.
Mhm.
They're like, "Oh, why do you shoot like this?" "Oh, you shoot like this. You use this ISO, use this aperture, whatever." And but then when they see it come to life, they see the beauty in it,
Yeah.
and it all starts within. Like the the So the inspiration plus the knowledge creates great photos. Am I correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. And that really helps me because I'm trying to figure out how to shoot better photos and more aesthetically pleasing photos.
Hmm.
You know, I oftentimes go to Charlotte a lot and just capture moments where I think like, oh, that's a good photo. I think Dragon, you said this that you think in pictures or you think in photos like um when you look at something like you see it
Yeah.
like a photo.
Hmm.
And so that's the same way for me, like when it comes to filmmaking, I just see moments where I'm like, that's that could be an interesting film. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow. So and that all stems with inside, you know,
Hmm.
that just stems with our natural gifts. And when we lean into that gift, then it's like we see so much fruit. Even though that sometimes the when the seed is planted and you're trying to you know it's trying to grow but you're in the dark and you don't
Hmm.
know you know when you're ever going to see the light, that's the time where you just need to keep chugging along. You need to keep pursuing it
Gotta keep
because it
going.
looks messy. Like being in the dirt looks messy.
Yeah.
And then when you grow out and now you're like, oh dang, like I'm starting to create traction. Like, you know, you're working with the foot or the soccer teams in Charlotte.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
working at the Durag Festival. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
these like
Man.
bro, like all those times that you spent in the dark, like just literally capturing photos,
Hmm.
listening to what Jesus has told you,
Yeah.
and being obedient to that, that it's like those are the times that we're setting you up for success now.
Hmm.
And so, man, I'm praying for you, bro. Like literally, I know
Thank you,
you're gonna
brother.
go far. It's just like it's just like we up, bro. We up, bro.
For sure. Yeah,
So,
man.
but yeah, man. So I want to go ahead and kind of end the podcast here because I definitely want to get you on the episode again. But
Mhm.
this is just kind of like an introduction to kind of like where you're at, the wisdom that you've learned. So yeah, man, Dragon, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Dragon, DREGAN underscore, and then Dragon.films. I have two pages. One is my videography page, and the other is my photography page. So just check me out there, and you can find me in Charlotte, being around at community events. I'm the digital media specialist at Lakeview Neighborhood Association, which is kind of on the west side of Charlotte. So I do a lot of their content. So um, just kind of where you see people enjoying themselves and being free. That's what I try to be.
I love that, man. Yeah, man. I'll go ahead and link your information in the show notes. The video will be up in about actually, I'll probably just upload it today because this was special, man. So,
So,
man, I'm so excited to see where you're gonna go in life, and I know that God's got you. You
sir,
know, just trust in His plan. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. So,
yes, sir.
you know, I think it's just important to be obedient to Him and do what He's called you to do, bro. But besides that, man, until next time, okay?
Thank you, brother. Blessings.
Man, love you, bro.
Appreciate it. Love you too, bro.
Yes,
Peace.
sir.